you on this, and you've written the book on autocracy, and Ian, you've spent a lot of time in Ukraine. You lived there for 3 years helping the country establish defense policy. But Anne, if you could speak, just because I know who watches this show, and I would love a little bit of a Ukraine 101, if I can, at this pivotal moment. If you could speak on who the Ukrainians are, what they stand for, and what they must be thinking right now.
So Ukraine is a nation that didn't have independence until 1991. It's a country that has since then fought really quite extraordinarily from the grassroots level, self-organizing the whole time in order to create a flawed but ambitious democracy. The Ukrainians have repeatedly shown that they want to be part of the Western world. They want to be part of the democratic world. They want to be integrated into Europe. They want an alliance with the United States. They want open markets. They want free press. They don't want to be a dictatorship. They don't want to be a kleptocracy. They want to be ruled by people and not just by oligarchs. And this desire, actually, it is this desire to be a democracy and to be part of the democratic world that's really what it is that Putin hates. You know, of course, Putin is a Russian imperialist, and of course he seeks to recreate some kind of empire. But really, what bothers him about Ukraine is that the Ukrainians succeeded. They succeeded in creating a democracy, and that's a very dangerous. A very dangerous example to Russians. So when he sees, street revolutions succeeding in Ukraine, what he fears is a revolution like that happening in Russia. And his desire to crush Ukraine is a desire to crush the democratic world, but it's also a desire to show everyone around the world that autocracy wins, democracy loses. People are watching this conflict in Venezuela. They're watching it in Iran. They're watching it all over the world, everywhere where people want to live freely. They're watching what happens in this conflict. And if the largest democracy on the planet allows Russia to win or appears to back Russia, it will dash the hopes and dash ruin the imagination and ruin the future for millions of people.
So Ian, same question, and I can never forget when the war broke out, when Zelensky and his generals, they got on live stream, including the former president, and they said, we're fighting not just for our people and for our land, but for the safety of the world. If you could also take a stab at that question about the Ukrainian people who are often, I think, mistakenly underestimated here.
Well, Mika, you're bringing back some fond memories of mine. When I was a volunteer in Ukraine in 93 and 94, it's actually when Anne and I first crossed paths in Kiev. And when I left Ukraine, my memory is of a society that was probably still is today, Europe's most politically tolerant society. This is a peace-loving people. They were only looking for good relations with Russia. They wanted to be part of the West, part of the EU, part of NATO. They were on the road to be a success story. But from day one of Ukrainian independence, they have faced a Russian effort to suborn them again. I'll never forget a meeting I had in Oberammergau, Germany, when I was in Pentagon back then. We were meeting with the Russians just after Russia had become, free from the Soviet Union, so to speak. And I was stuck in a bar hall with the deputy chief of staff of the Russian armed forces. And I had the temerity to ask him, what is it like to lose your country, the Soviet Union you served for 30, 35 years? And he said to me, looking me straight in the eye, he pointed at me and said, Ian, we Russians, we will endure this, but mark my words, we will get Ukraine back again. And I will never forget that. And from that day on, there's been a steady pattern of Russian efforts, political, military, covert, to suborn Ukraine, leveraging their economic power, their military might, disinformation and such. This is a battle Ukraine has been battling for 30 years, and now it's escalated. And it is the moment for the West to respond with the power it has to bring peace back to Europe and to ensure Ukraine's sovereignty.
Former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense Ian Brzezinski, check out his piece in The Hill. Trump risks becoming Neville Chamberlain to Putin's Hitler. Coming up on Morning Joe.